Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Flynn, and I'm here with
Scott Lang.
And we are the Band Dads. Here to bring you a podcast about something that we care very dearly about, which is music education and band.
Some of you are here because you want to learn about all things band. Some of you are here because you want to see a train wreck, and the answer is yes to both of those. We don't care why you're here. We're going to answer all the questions. We're going to say the things you're thinking. We're going to debunk all the myths.
Yep. This is the Band Dads Podcast.
The podcast by and for confused band parents.
Oh, is that the tagline?
You know, speaking of songs, you'd be impressed. You know, I'm just absolutely obsessed with.
No, what are you obsessed with?
I Want a Husband.
Oh, yeah?
What's her name? That song? You don't know the song, I Want a Husband?
I Want a Husband.
It's a single, it's not Leife, but it's a single word name like that.
Maybe it's somebody I don't listen to.
Oh my God, it's all over social media and,
really?
And commercials.
That's the name of the song, though?
I think so, yeah.
Ray? R-A?
Yes, R-A-Y-E.
I actually don't know that song.
You don't know this song?
You got me, Scott. Like, I don't know that song.
I can't believe I'm culturally relevant in a way that Chris isn't. This
Slow
is a
down.
first.
Slow down.
I know on this
Slow
one
down.
thing. On this
You
one
happen to accidentally stumble into a song that you like. Congratulations. Slow down. Pump the brakes, say. Huh? Slow down.
That's such riz.
Yeah, slow
I'm
down.
so extra.
Well, I still haven't listened to that one artist you told me 6 months ago, but this one instead.
Okay, you gotta listen. It's really, really, really flipping good.
Okay.
And it's that and the new Bruno Mars song.
Gotcha.
That guy's got soul.
Scott, listen to Leife, please.
Okay.
Like, I'm not even like blowing smoke. Like Leife, she sounds like almost a traditional like jazz singer.
Okay.
But it's relevant in pop culture, which is crazy, and you have to give kids credit for, because they're just, I feel like, on my parents when I say this, because there's so much just crap out there now, right? But some of these artists actually slip through who are very good, very talented, and it's a very classical style.
Okay. I promise I will. All right.
What was I talking about? You totally distracted me.
It's hot out, folks. As we record this, we're sitting in the loft of my house, which sounds far more impressive than it is. And we've got the window open because while the East Coast digs out of a snowstorm that dumped 4 feet, I got a sunburn today. It's February. You know what season February brings, Chris? Do you have any clue?
What season? Spring? What do you mean? What season? Groundhog Day? What
It's
season?
leadership season, Chris.
Leadership season?
Yeah, didn't you?
I didn't know that was no.
Didn't you see that our band
you get
director
that
just
memo?
released leadership applications?
Oh, sorry, I did.
3 days ago.
I did. I missed the.
That's a season now, Chris.
I missed the
Target
season.
has decorations for it.
Oh, you know what? I need to get away from my computer for a few minutes. Clearly, I'm lost because I spend so much time on my computer and editing things. Wow.
Okay.
I feel so left out.
It's approaching that time of year in which leadership becomes a real key issue in our communities and this activity. But before we get into the whole leadership selection process, because I know that's what is starting in many of your communities, I want to ask Chris, in corporate America, because you are a
data analyst?
Correct.
Okay.
And you are
Chris Flynn.
And I am
Scott Lang.
And we are the
Band Dads.
In corporate America.
Yeah.
At your bank.
Yes.
How do they choose leaders?
Did I say that? Do they know where I work?
Yeah.
What type of?
Yeah, you said a major bank.
Man, so that's a really open-ended question. How about what's the right way to hire leaders? Because
give me both.
Ooh.
Give me both.
Okay, well, I'll tell you the wrong way to hire leaders.
Okay.
The wrong way to hire leaders is probably like most places and most professions in this world, purely based on relationship and nothing else. How much I like that person. That happens, unfortunately, more often than I feel like you would think.
But how much is personality and fit matter in leadership?
I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but when that's the entire basis for a promotion, it's probably not the most effective reason to promote somebody.
Okay. No, we're going to circle back to this, folks. For those who are saying, it's the Band Dad podcast, I don't really care about how it happens in corporate America. You are going to care in a minute because we're going to circle back and compare the two. Okay. How should it happen?
I mean, it should happen based on, I guess, tuning people to be prepared for that role, meaning that if you are a leader yourself, if I run something, I'm in charge of something, I help facilitate the characteristic and needs and knowledge that those people that work underneath me need in order to step up and be the next person in leadership. So part of it's me fostering the right relationship and providing the opportunity to those people who are interested in that opportunity to get the knowledge and skill set that they need. So that's first and foremost. But second, it does talk about, and you've said this before, you've kind of made the joke about people getting mad that there are favorites in a band program. Well, generally, all we're doing is applying those that are eager to apply themselves and calling them favorites, right? It's the kids who are stepping up, asking for responsibility. And I've had that happen to me.
Going the extra mile.
100%. And that's happened to me in corporate America too. Like I've had people that have worked for me be mad because they thought other employees were my favorites. When literally all it is those are the people that keep coming to me saying, what can I do? What can you give me? What extra tasks can I take on? Those types of things. So part of it is looking for the right personality and the person that's interested and eager that wants the responsibility. Because I think the other side of that is, again, not just, I said it's wrong to do it based on relationship, but I think it's wrong to do it just based on seniority as well. Just because somebody's been involved in something for a long time doesn't mean you deserve it.
I'm senior. I'm senior. I should be in bed.
So you could speak from experience.
Okay, let me ask you this question then. And I know it's a little bit of an idyllic pie in the sky question, but there is a very famous string quartet. I want to say it's the Turtle Hill String Quartet. And they operate without a conductor. They make all decisions communally, and they've written a New York Times bestseller book about how they do it.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, how important are leaders?
I think, I was going to say I think a good leader is absolutely crucial. However, I think the other thing I would say is the type of leader that I always was, I didn't necessarily treat...
So you're no longer a leader?
I'm an individual contributor now as a data analyst. I don't lead anything but a spreadsheet. So, so the way I always was is I always treated those individuals, even that worked, I guess, technically under me hierarchy-wise, I tried to treat them as peers.
Right.
I never tried to hold myself above anyone. I never took credit for anyone else's work. Like I was one of those people that always believed in, I have to give you the respect just like you work side by side with me. So I think when you say leadership, maybe there's a difference between assigning somebody the role as leader, because I'm going to guess, even though they don't have a conductor per se, there's probably somebody within that group of individuals that is a leader. Do you know what I'm saying? That helps runs and push initiatives, and you know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing. Their big thing is about communal responsibility and collaboration, but they're a quintet. It's 5 people.
Yeah.
They're not a multinational corporation.
Right.
But they're in a world, music, where typically there is a conductor who makes those decisions musically and otherwise and tells the group this is what you're going to do. And so it's just an interesting concept I hadn't thought about till we started talking, is how important is the leader? Because leadership is abound in band.
Sure.
In fact, it's probably the cornerstone of what brings kids back. Because I was thinking about this today when we were prepping for this podcast. I was driving around and I was thinking about this. If you're an athlete, and this is no slam against athletes, but something to think about. The reason you come back after 4 years in high school is because you are surrounding yourself with more elite competition. You are playing more elite competition, and it sharpens your skill set and your abilities so you can continue forward. Make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. When you look at music, your marching skill sets don't get any better after your, freshman, sophomore year. You're not coming back because your skill sets are being sharpened.
Okay.
You're not because a whole note's a whole note, a B flat's a B flat. And yeah, I'm marching instead of 2 off the 45, 3 off the hash. This year I'm marching 2 off the 35 and 6 off the hash. The fundamental activity isn't changing.
Gotcha.
The level of competition generally isn't changing. There's a small incremental growth of word.
But it's comparable.
Yeah, it's fairly comparable.
Yep.
So you have to ask yourself, maybe it's love of the activity, and it is for sure. What brings a kid back to do the same thing for 4 consecutive years? Because it's not the same in athletics.
Yeah, I would agree.
Why would the kid be a senior on the football team but stay on the freshman team? And the answer is no, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that delineates and differentiates this activity is that as a student's skill sets grow, not musical, not marching, their responsibilities grow. So, my son's experience year 1 is drinking from a fire hose. My son's year 2 is to master the ability to get a drink of water from that fire hose without getting blasted.
Right.
My son's responsibility year 3 is to show others how to drink from the fire hose with got the face torn off.
Makes sense.
And my responsibility year 4 is to ensure that all the other leaders are teaching their kids how to drink from the fire hose without getting.
Okay.
So it's the same marching technique or the same stupid analogy of drinking from a fire hose.
Right.
But the fundamental reason for my being is completely different.
Yep.
And that's leadership.
Yeah, that's true.
Is that, your daughter, we talked about this in another podcast, Ava will have a different experience her junior year than her sophomore year because her freshman year it was drinking from a fire hose. Her sophomore year is about being able to master that.
Right.
Her junior year is about being able to show it within her section. And her senior year is about being able to show it with other leaders and throughout the entire band.
Right.
That's one of the things I think makes band fundamentally different is that we give students, while not changing the fundamental basis of the activity, we give them a fundamentally different experience by giving them leadership opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, when you look at it, and I like two sports because I think it's a fair analogy. I think leadership in sports, while being just as important, is fundamentally different than leadership in music.
Okay.
And, I want you to play, you're a sports fan.
Yes.
Okay. You look at, tell me the role of a drum major. You've been to so many band rehearsals. How does the role of a drum major compare to the role of a captain in the huddle? How is it different? How is it the same?
How is it different? How is it the same?
They're both high school kids. They're both the preeminent spot in their organization.
Okay.
They're both likely an upperclassman. They're both charged with the role and leading responsibilities, both in role modeling and ensuring that others are doing what they're supposed to be doing when they're supposed to be doing it.
Okay.
How is it the same? How is it different?
I mean, I think the captain in a huddle, I think the expectation in sports is to, I don't know. I think the expectation in sports is for that captain to be the best one on the field, performance-wise.
Bingo. It's
right?
performance-based.
It's performance-wise. They have to be the best one on the field, whereas, again, a drum major's job is to keep the band unified, keep them together as one group performing equally, keeping time, and versus, just being...
See, and I would say that's the best leader.
Yeah.
We don't choose the best performer and give them the title of leader. We choose the best leader and give them a job of performing.
Gotcha.
And frankly, one that's irrelevant because we all know if it's a fight between the drum line and the drum major, the band's going to follow the drum
winning,
line.
yeah.
Oh, they're going to win every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always told my drum major, when in doubt, follow the drum line. You'll come out just fine in life.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting that one of the things as we get into this leadership season is one of the reasons you encourage your child to be a leader is because it gives them a fundamentally different experience while doing the fundamentally same exact thing.
Yep.
And the second thing is we're choosing you not based on your gifts and skill sets that you already had that you finally crafted as an athlete, but we're giving them to you on gifts and skill sets you don't have that you have to develop.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it is leadership season, folks, because this is about the time when you start that process, late February, early March, where you start the application dissemination process. And I want to be really clear that, there's a lot of different ways to choose your leaders, and there's no right way and there's no wrong way.
Okay.
There's different roles and responsibilities. Some people choose the best player as my section leader. Some people choose the best leader as their section leader. Some people like 5 drum majors. Some people like 1. There's no right or wrong way to choose leaders, but it is a really important process for bands because we got a lot of stuff, Chris. I mean, mother of...
In terms of what we have to manage, yeah.
Yeah. And the reason we talk about leadership, and we can talk about it's a student-centered experience, and we want kids to grow, and they get a fundamentally different experience. But the bottom line is this: the wheels come off the bus without the kids.
Yeah.
There is no activity in the public school system in which student ownership is required at the level of band.
Yeah. No,
I mean...
That's fair. That's fair. But as much as we talk about all the warm, fuzzy stuff within band and all the good stuff that comes out of it and all that, does that mean that you don't see the same types of things that you might see culturally in terms of the reasons why people would want to enter into leadership? I mean, does it not still exist in band? Like, I want to do it because I like the title. I just want the title. I want to feel like I'm more powerful. Or maybe it's something as simple as we have parents who are telling their kids to apply to leadership so they can put it on an application somewhere, things like that. Like what's the right reason in terms of why should people pursue this? Because we're talking to band parents right now. So what's the reason why their kids should pursue leadership?
your kid's going to learn skills that will be valuable to them for the rest of their life. You know, we talked about the reason you do sports is not sports, it's everything but sports. It's all the lessons you learned. When you're talking about leadership, and the thing that makes it different is leadership in band, it's not about achievement so much as it is about development.
Okay.
And I say that, so let's be clear. If a team wins a state championship, that quarterback is going to be called a great quarterback.
Okay.
A great leader of men, a great team captain. Well, we don't know that. We just know they won 12 games.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily make him a good leader.
Okay.
When you look at leadership in band, there's no metric associated with it. And so with no metric and no glory, the only reason you do it as an extension of glory is you do it because it's the will to make people better. And the culture of band is that it's about the people. It's not about the product.
Yeah. No,
and
absolutely.
I'm not saying the product doesn't matter.
Right.
But it's very rare. If I went to anyone, and I'm not dissing this, if I went to anyone on our football team and in July and said, what would make this year a success? What would their answer be?
A championship.
Bingo.
Yeah.
If I went to every kid, same high school, so same demographic, same type of kid, I went to every kid in our kids' band and said, what would be the goal of this year? What would their answer be?
That they had fun, that they enjoyed themselves.
Yeah, they had a good experience.
Yeah.
That fundamentally, in and of itself, tells you the difference between the two. The job of a leader in band is to create a good experience, and not necessarily always a fun one, but a good experience.
Okay.
The job of a leader in athletics is to put people in positions and motivate them to win games.
Okay, so in that regard, when we talk about leadership in like a work or corporate environment versus something like this, so it probably aligns more closely to athletics because in a work environment in a business, you have an objective, you have a goal. Your business is trying to accomplish X.
There's a
trying to
metric.
achieve it.
It's a profit margin, a sales quota.
Exactly. So being that athletics has that objective, it becomes easier to potentially prepare or train someone to help try and not only achieve that objective, but maybe lead people to that objective. What do you do for band?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that. It's almost like we practice this.
How do you prepare a kid for being a leader in
So
band?
I'll tell you a story. So long story short, one of the darkest days I ever taught was I was at band camp one year. I was probably my 5th year of teaching, and someone had brought booze. And I was devastated.
There wasn't enough for you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
Sad
no,
day.
it was me that
Can
brought
you just
it, Chris.
confiscate it? Oh, I was going to say,
It was me
can you
that
just
brought
take it?
And I turned myself into myself.
Gotcha.
Long story short, this freshman had brought, are you ready for this? Cream de menthe. That's not even booze. It's like toothpaste.
That's what a high school kid would do.
It's-
That's what a high school kid would do.
And so anyway, long story short, what I had realized was that my leaders had heard about it and didn't do anything. And so I was crushed that a kid would violate the code. But I was even more crushed that my leaders knew about it. And they didn't enable it. They didn't support it, but they didn't stop it.
Yeah.
And I realized at that point, so here's my point. I have a very different outlook on how you select leaders. And so I literally sat down and I threw everything in the trash. I said, okay, I got to reconstruct this because what I did not work.
That's fair.
I hadn't created kids who were engaged or problem solvers or advocates for what's right and what's wrong. So I sat down, I put on a piece of paper. I said, what are the characteristics I'm looking for in a leader? And I came down with this. Number one, I want someone who's organized and has their crap together.
Okay.
There's a survival mechanism to this process.
Okay.
Number two is you got to be able to think on your feet and be a problem solver. Okay. Number three,
I like that.
you have to be an advocate for the program.
Okay. Yeah.
Number four, you had to be servant oriented.
Okay.
And number five, you had to be fun. Okay. Because if I'm going to spend all this time and I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of teenagers, you better not suck at it.
Yeah. Okay.
So what I did was I thought, okay, if that's my output, what's the throughput that gets me to that objective?
Yeah.
So I recreated my leadership selection process and I built it based on the output. So I thought, I need kids who are organized. Okay, how do I attract that? So step one in the leadership selection process was you had to submit a resume. Now, everything that I do now, I want you to think about this for a second. The primary fundamental existence for being in school is to learn, correct?
Yeah, yes.
Now, we can't discriminate, correct? We have to be equal opportunity, correct?
Yes, correct.
We have to give all kids the same opportunities and exposures, correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
What happens to the kids that don't get selected to leadership? Isn't that discrimination?
Ooh, I don't know.
I'm selectively giving certain students opportunities and exposures and experiences that I'm not giving other kids.
I mean, okay.
So a fundamental premise in my leadership application process was the kid had to benefit even if they're not selected. So it's an equal opportunity.
Okay.
Getting selected, not selected, it's the same experience.
Gotcha.
The second thing was if I'm going to put this time and effort into it, the band better get something out of it.
Gotcha.
So the kid better get something out of it, the band better. So step number 1, submit a resume. Kid gets something out of it. They learn a life skill that they're going to have to be successful and to do it in life. I got something out of it because I got to learn something about the kid that I didn't otherwise know.
Gotcha.
Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I learned that they're organized, have their crap together. I learned something about them. They get a life skill.
Yep.
Step 2, I would put 3 problems on the form and say, here are 3 things that are potential problems in our organization. Give me 3 solutions to each of the problems.
3 to each of the 3.
Correct. So so if I had 20 applicants, I would get 60 answers.
Okay.
90 answers. So if you think about that, the kid gets something because they're learning about problem solving skills.
Right.
I'm going to give you 3 things, and on the spot, you're going to have to come up with solutions for them.
Okay.
Okay. What I got was heightened awareness on the 3 things that are pissing me off as a band director.
Okay. Yeah.
So the band got something, I got something. Win, kid learns something, I learned something because I got 90 ideas to solve tardiness. I got 90 ideas to solve practicing.
Gotcha.
So step 1, organize a resume. Step 2, are you a problem solver? Solve these 3 problems in real time for me.
Okay.
They get something, I get something, the band wins, they win. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, here's where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
The third thing I said I wanted, so I want you to be organized. I want you to be a problem solver. The third thing is I want you to be an advocate for the band.
Okay.
An advocate when there's alcohol at band camp, an advocate when a kid's talking trash, an advocate when you're with an administrator. You're an advocate for the program. So the students had to interview someone on campus about leadership.
Okay.
Now think about this. So it's great because all of a sudden my principal's calendar filled up with 27 student interviews about
They're all
leadership.
interviewing the principal?
Well, and I told him, I said, I don't care if it's a custodian. I don't care if it's a ground person. I don't care if it's the head football coach. Now, what I told the kids was during our pre-meeting, I don't really care what you learn about leadership. I don't care.
Okay.
That's 20 minutes with a decision maker on this campus. You better sell them on band. My budget better go up.
I see.
That football team better have a lot more respect for us.
I see what you're doing.
Now, what the kid got was to hear opportunities and thoughts on leadership from decision makers, groundskeepers, teachers, department chairs. The kid also got to practice being an advocate for something that they're passionate about in a short, succinct time. What I got was every teacher on campus thought I was a hero. Scott, what are you teaching? I had 14 appointments. And I always say, hey, Frank, can I get a new Barry Sachs? Because he loved me at leadership time.
Right. Gotcha.
Because no one else on campus. The football coach finally understood what was so tough about band because he had 12, and he eventually adopted my leadership application process. Okay, step 1, organize. Resume.
Right.
Step 2, problem solver. Solve these 3 problems. Step 3, interview someone on campus. Learn to be an advocate. The band wins, you win.
Okay.
Step 4, you have to complete a service project. Has to be 90 minutes in length.
Okay.
You cannot ask me what to do. If you can't look around this band room and find 90 minutes of work to do, then you're not my type of kid.
I see.
Okay? The band wins because even if you don't get selected, I got a service
You
project
got something. Somebody did something for you for 90 minutes.
The kid wins because they learn to look around and solve problems without being told what to do.
Yeah.
Resume, organized.
Yep.
Problem solver, 3 questions.
Yep.
Advocate, interview someone on campus. Service project, learn to solve problems without being told what to do.
Okay.
And then the number 5, which was the best part of the application.
Which is have fun or be fun?
Close.
Oh.
It has 2 words. The
Okay.
entire statement, it just says this: dazzle me.
Dazzle me. Okay. I've heard that before.
Figure it out.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
One day I picked up the phone and there was a guy on the other line. I said, hey, can I speak to Scott? Hi, my name is John Williams and I'd like to speak to you about Brett Hohalter. I said, can I help you? Did he do something wrong? No, I understand he's applying for drum major. I think he'd be an excellent candidate. I said, and how are you related? He said, I'm not related. I said, tell me your name again. He said, John Williams. And I said, wait a minute.
John Williams.
It was John Williams, the composer.
That's insane.
The kid found him.
Wow.
I got a kid who got all the way the private secretary of the President of the United States.
Okay.
One day I walked into my office and there were 3,000 sticky notes on my walls, floor, carpet, each one with a different idea how to make the band better. A Mountain in our town, A Mountain?
Sure, yeah.
Said Band Mountain for a week. Kid built a B and N.
I was going to say, how did they get?
They built a B. They took it up there and figured it out.
Holy
I had
moly.
a train go by in rehearsal and there was a sign on a moving train. I don't know how that kid got it on that train.
Yeah, what?
The point is, show me you're creative and interesting.
Okay.
I had kids. One of my favorite projects was a kid took a bunch of photos of the band. This is back in the 90s, inverted them so they were black and white but absent of color. Make sense?
Yeah. It's like the negative. They call it the negative effect. Yeah.
Turned it into coloring books, photocopied it, made 1,000 copies, and took them to homeless shelters for kids.
Interesting. Okay.
In other words, show me what you got.
Yeah. Huh.
The point was that was where you showed me you had a personality and you were fun and people would want to spend time with you.
Yeah.
So the point was I took the traditional model of interviews and questions and maybe a poll for band president. And I looked at what did I want at the end?
Right.
Now, how do I build a process that gets me to that point?
Right. Gotcha.
And so that was kind of why I circled back to the question of how do we do it in corporate America, and could that system work? Because I will contend to you, student council elections should be done this way. I said to my principal that because he's like, I said, you should adopt this for student council. He goes, well, no, we have to do elections. I said, no, you don't. There's no law.
Right.
That's your choice. He goes, well, it teaches them about the American system. I said, really?
Yeah.
Was there a primary that I missed?
Sure.
Is the Electoral College going to get together and confirm all of this? Do we have a bicameral legislature in the school? Because I missed all that. Yeah. No, what's the throughput that we're trying to get out of this process?
Let's do it for our booster officers. How about that? Let's have them do this with our band director. Let's have the band director put through.
Well, they're already doing the service projects. They're already doing advocacy.
I want to see the dazzle me though. I want to see what they come up with.
Oh,
I want to see.
Here's the thing, Chris. It got to be insane.
Yeah.
Like, because the first year the kids are like, ooh, I don't, please just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Because band kids like to follow orders.
Yeah.
It's a culture of order following.
Gotcha.
But then when one kid breaks through and does something really cool, from then on, it's game. I mean, some of the craziest stuff you've ever. Every day I would unlock the door of the band room and just not know what was going to be waiting for me. And it's the season, it ran 3 weeks. It was a week of me giving stuff out, and then a week of spring break because I never wanted a kid to say I didn't have time.
Yeah.
And then the week after spring break.
Okay.
And it was due that Friday at 3:00.
Gotcha.
But what happened was I ended up getting leaders. And here's the beauty of this. And maybe this would work in corporate America. Maybe it wouldn't. I don't know. But here's the thing. It is a leadership. It attracts kids who are service-oriented, problem-solving, organized advocates who are fun.
Yeah.
What it does that's even more important? It repels kids that aren't. It's too much work.
I guess that's almost my first question that comes to mind is, let's say you have somebody that goes through this entire process and then you have to turn them down at that point. That sounds almost heartbreaking.
It is. And I had a very cowardly way of doing it. I want to be clear about that. Yeah. I told the kids, I said, it will go up. So after the window closed, I told them, I have 1 week, Friday at 3:00. It will go up on the band room window from the inside. So you go outside the building and look in. It'll go up at 3:00. And by 3:00 and 15 seconds, I will have left the building. And I would tell the kids, and now I would do it electronically. I always told the kids, I do it on Friday so that if you got the job, you can gloat for 3 days at home. Come back with your head screwed on straight because someone's heart got broken. Yeah. And if you're sulking, go home and cry it out, figure it out, and come back with your head screwed on straight Monday.
Gotcha.
Because if you come back any other way, you proved why I made the wrong selection.
And you may tell me next what your process is for this, but I think one of the things that used to bother me being a leader when people were turned down for opportunities, and this is I've seen this in a lot of examples all over the place. The fact that there's no feedback loop for those individuals really upsets me. Like, somebody took the time and effort to be interested and apply for something or whatever. And all too often, there's so many examples in life where I see that people are just scared to have a conversation that may be confrontational, maybe just whatever. But people are just so scared to have an honest conversation with someone that they don't deliver feedback that ultimately can be very good and constructive for people. So that really bothers me that I will tell you that I don't feel like that happens as often as it should in corporate America. How do you have those conversations in this arena?
I would say, when it came to a big position like drum major, there were probably some broken hearts at times. But I think, to be honest with you, most kids knew. If I chose Billy, he shows up earlier, he plays harder, he works harder, he practices harder. I don't think there were any surprises. But I also want to say, it says on the application, and we should talk about where they can get this application. It said on the application, don't back me into a corner by applying for one job.
Okay.
You should apply for 3 jobs because I'm building a puzzle.
That's fair.
And that just because if you only apply for drum major, you may not be my top choice for drum major, but it doesn't mean you wouldn't be my top choice for section leader.
Okay.
If you only apply for one job, you're backing me into a corner and you're limiting yourself. Give me the opportunity to put you in a place and space where I think you're going to be successful for you and for the group. Meaning the point was, I found roles for kids, even if I had to make them up.
Okay.
I'm not saying it took every kid, but
right.
It was one year I had 65 applicants. That's 65 service projects. That's 65 interviews.
Goodness, yeah.
The impact was amazing.
Yeah, I bet.
I created a management team. I just made up a title.
Okay.
And it had 8 kids on it. You're in charge of the bulletin boards. You're in charge of the concert programs. You take attendance every day. I always say titles are easier to make up than leaders. So if you got a good kid, make up a title.
Yeah, like we talked about with putting somebody in charge of recruiting other kids, things like that.
Make something. So my point is, as long as they're a good kid that's done the right thing, I'll find a spot for them.
Okay.
It may not be section leader, it may not be drum major, but believe me, you'll be head uniform ironer. I mean, I will come up with something.
Gotcha.
If you're a good kid and you haven't been a schmuck all year and not showing up to rehearsal and doing wrong.
So that brings up the next point, which is, so that's a cool, very unique process that you use during that 3-week window to really get something creative out of those kids. Now, but you just also said, but if they weren't selected, they probably already kind of knew because they showed up early. So, but what happens before all that? What goes into the pre-selection process? Almost meaning that, like, what do you look? What should be happening in the program even prior to this selection process?
Well, any band director
for that leadership.
Any band director is going to tell you you're auditioning every day that you're in this room.
Okay.
So and that is common. That is common. If you can't be not a good band member for 14 weeks and then be a great band member for 3 and get a title, it's not going to work that way.
Gotcha.
But I do think it's about the other thing that I think is really important is you got to sit down with the kids. And I went through the whole application with them and I told them, here's what I'm looking for in number 2. I'm just going to tell you flat out. On number 3, I don't care what you learn. I want you to go. And I told them at the end of this, when you look at this application, it is an embodiment of what I want the other 342 days of the year.
Gotcha.
I am teaching you what a leader is to me. Now, I will tell you flat out, there are bands out there where their vision of leadership is very different. And this style of application wouldn't fit that style of leader. But I'm looking for a leader who is solutions oriented, organized, has her crap together, is an advocate, and will speak up for this program, who is servant oriented and has a little bit of panache to him.
Okay.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
Not everybody might want that.
Gotcha.
Can't imagine why, but but the thing is, you can't. Here's the thing. You can't say, okay, I know, an application may have on it, list honors classes.
Right.
What you're saying is, and I only want smart kids.
Right. Correct.
List teacher recommendations. Okay, I only want people that teachers like. I'm not interested in what teachers like. I'm interested in what kids like.
Okay.
List. So my point is, I think you go through this. A lot of people go through this performative process because that's what it looks like in corporate America. You apply for something. You sit down for an interview. There's a committee, and then and I'm saying that's not what I'm looking for.
Do I dare say it happens that way too? Just because it's easier, it's an easy out. Maybe. I don't want to take the time to rethink.
No, I don't think I do think it's rethinking, but it's not laziness. It's I don't know any other way to do this. Yeah, if someone would, I know how to tune a band. I don't know how to select the leadership. And I will tell you, Chris, and if you're a Scott Lang leadership client, turn off for the next 30 seconds. I walk into every band room in America and I say, what would you like me to do today? Well, I'd like you to make better leaders. Okay. How? Well, I just want better leaders. Okay, can you give me some examples?
Right.
More invested kids. Okay, invested in what? Directors can't tell me. Right. In 30 years of doing this, I've never had a director be able to clearly enunciate what they want.
Gotcha.
I want leaders who are more engaged, more organized, more solutions-oriented, more service-oriented, and make this activity in this building a more fun place to be. I can clearly tell you what I'm looking for.
Okay.
And so how can a kid be something that we can't describe?
Even define yourself, yeah.
And so not only can I describe it, I flat out tell them, and I number the application, so you can't get the application from anywhere other than me. You have to be at the pre-meeting. And I tell you flat out, This is what I'm after. This is the type of kid I want. Doesn't mean my band librarian is going to be the same level of advocate as my drum major.
Okay.
But if my band librarian sees a problem, I expect you to step up and talk up. Period. I expect you to solve the problem. That's step 2, problem solver.
Right.
I expect you to be solutions oriented. Step 3, like that's the point, is the throughput didn't match the expected outcome.
Okay.
We put a Chevy into the machine and we're expecting a banana at the end. I don't understand that.
Gotcha.
So
that makes sense.
We've talked about like the whole nature of why we select leaders is because it gives a fundamentally different experience to every kid and gives them a reason to come back every year.
Yeah.
But the second thing is that for most programs, I don't know that the throughput matches the output or the expected output.
Okay.
You know, I want leaders
That's
who
something
are
to think about for sure.
engaged and involved in this. Well, did you design a process that features engagement, features involvement?
Gotcha.
I want leaders that are phenomenal musicians. And okay, do you have a required lesson program for leaders? The throughput has to match the output. Make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So
does.
you know, here's the thing. Like, we were at band camp the year after I got married. It's kind of a cool story. Is we were at band camp and my wife didn't come from the band world.
Right.
And the kids decorated a room like it was a bridal suite, and they did shows for us and candelabras, and they brought a golf cart and they drove us around like a chauffeur. And you know, my drum major got certified on the internet as a preacher and remarried us. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But afterwards, my drum major came to me and said, "Mr. Lang, I can ask you a question." He had a great relationship, and he was a kid that was as good at those 5 areas as anyone I've ever had. And I said, "Okay." And he said, "Do you like being married?" And I said, "I do." And I'd known Brett since he was 3 years old because his older brothers and sisters were in band.
Gotcha.
And he said, "Yeah, I can tell you're a different person." I said, "Thank you." And he said, "Do you want to stay married?" And I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "You average 92 hours a week.
Yeah.
I clocked you."
Yeah.
He said, "Those days are over, or your marriage is over." And those kids literally took over every single thing I did but teach the 56-minute class. I never filled out a bus request. I never filled out a facility request. I never did a purchase order after that. I never checked my mailbox. I never updated the website. I never updated the social media feed. I did nothing but teach. The kids did everything.
And you didn't have to ask them to do this.
Nope.
They took the
took
initiative
over
themselves.
because that's what the application taught them.
Gotcha.
And they were of that mindset of, I want to have my crap together. I want to be solutions oriented. I want to be an advocate. I want to be service based, and I want to make this fun. And I will tell you, it was the best year of teaching my life. I almost stayed teaching because of that year.
Yeah, so I was going to say, so what happened? So you've given us a good conversation around how you got to the point of changing that throughput and really identifying candidates that fit better what you wanted for the band. So what happens then? What happens? So that's your selection process. What happens after the selection process? What comes next?
Then you have to let them do their job.
Yep.
You know, so Brett was a barista at Starbucks. And he came to me one morning because we rehearsed at 6 a.m. So leaders had to be on site at 5:30. He showed up one morning with a cup of coffee at 5:30. And I said, "Hey, Brett, what's this for?" And he goes, "Well, you have to have something to do today." And I said, "No, I got a lot to do today." He said, "No, you don't. We do. We're teaching the rest of this week. You can get a lawn chair and watch us."
Wow.
Because I challenged them over the summer. I said, "You'll never take as much power from me as I'm willing to give to you. You have fought. You're asking if you can set up the chairs, and I want you to take over rehearsal." Wow. I use that example.
Yeah.
They took over for a week.
Incredible.
So
wow.
once you do that, you have to then give them the space to run.
Gotcha.
You have to let them do their jobs. You have to empower them to find their view and their vision and their personality type for leading. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So that's what, I kind of said to you earlier about how much does personality matter? I'm a believer. This is just me. I'm sorry. My 2 drum majors, you need a cheerleader and a fear leader. That's my personal philosophy.
Okay.
Okay. I need, I say this drum major was later self-identified as gay, and he was by all means an albino.
Okay.
Not the typical fear leader.
Okay.
Nobody crossed him. That guy ran a tighter ship than he scared me.
Gotcha.
He was my fear. You didn't move at attention. You did not show up late, or you had him to deal with. You did not talk back in rehearsal, or you had him to deal with. And then his counterpart was my cheerleader. Oh my God, she was the sweetest thing ever. And when he graduated, she became the head drum major, and I got a fear leader as my junior drum major.
Oh, okay.
That I can't, there's a personality type, and not only a personality type to the position, but there's a personality type to the team. If I put two fear leaders together, I've done that. That's a mistake. That's fire and fire.
Okay.
That just makes for a bigger fire.
Gotcha.
You know, you can't put, my personal belief, Chris, you can't put two introverts up there.
And who's the fear leader and the cheerleader? Are you the fear leader or the cheerleader, or am I the, which one am I?
Absolutely the fear.
You're the fear leader. So I'm the cheerleader then. Okay. Just making sure. I want to try to know
you're a mind leader. It's not fear or cheer. It's thought.
It's thought. Yeah.
It's not. But
right.
I mean, so I think when you're parents, when you're thinking about this, that there isn't just, it's not just the element of my kid should be X.
Right.
It's a puzzle.
Okay.
Because if your kid's a junior and they want to be a drum major, and I got a fear leader, and your kid's piss and vinegar, I can't put them in that position because they're going to fight in front of the band for 9 weeks.
Gotcha.
Why am I not center podium? I should be. He has more center podium time. Okay, no, that's why I choose a junior. There's a dominant and a subordinate.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I choose a fear leader and a cheerleader because if I have two fear leaders, they beat the hell out of the band and it's low morale.
Yeah.
I need someone to put the thumb down. I need someone to lift them. So there's a personality matching. And there's a domino effect. Well, because I didn't choose the two drum majors because they would be two fear leaders, that means the second drum major slides to section leader, which takes the existing section leader means I got to slide them over to be uniform corporal master because they need a job. And and it's a huge puzzle.
You had corporal masters?
No, I just.
Oh, I was going to say.
But I did have uniform.
I like that. I'd want to be corporal.
I did have uniform folks.
All right. So I like where you're going with that. Is there anything else so that's good. So is there anything else that you really want to hone in on just for parents, right? So you kind of talked about the band director's perspective and the kids and the students. So what do you want the parents to really hone in on in terms of how this works?
The thing is the bigger picture.
Okay.
Your child serves a bigger picture, and there's something bigger to play than just what your child deserves.
Yeah.
The second thing I would want them to understand is how you respond when your child comes home teaches your child how to respond.
Yeah.
So if they come home and they're disappointed, you mirror it with, well, the director's an idiot. He should have chosen you. What you've taught your child is your director's wrong and that you have no room for improvement. It wasn't done for any other reason. Then you've been cheated. Or if they come home and say, I got drum major, and your response is, it's because you're the best kid ever. And he was right to choose you. I can't even believe he even let others audition. Then you're teaching that kid there's no humility in leadership.
Right. Yeah.
So I think there's a bigger puzzle
picture
at play.
Yep.
And then the second thing is, so your kid may not get A, selected, or B, the job that they want. And how you respond, you're teaching them how to respond.
Sure.
And then the third thing is, when your kid says, well, I'm only going to do it if I get this role, or then it's your opportunity as a parent to sit down and go, leadership is about serving.
Yeah.
It's not about receiving.
Right.
It's not what you get or the role or the title that you get. It's what does the band need and how can I fulfill that?
Right.
What does your section need and how you can fulfill that?
Yeah.
And so I just think, as we approach this leadership season, it's important to understand why leadership exists and its survival, because we have a lot of stuff and a lot of kids.
Right.
What makes it different than any other space or place where we have leaders on that 4-year journey?
Sure.
And that to the directors, does the throughput match the output? And I'm not saying you should use my system. I'm saying sit down and design the ideal leader and then redesign your system to produce that leader.
So that's a fair point, because I think that approaching it that way makes sense, because when we've talked about this before too, every program is going to be a little bit different, right?
100%.
But in the same way, you also, I guess, have to identify that about, you just kind of said this, you need different personality types within your leadership as well, right? If you pick every kid that's got the same trait because you think that's what's successful in leadership, you're probably going to fail, because not everybody is going to respond. If you've got a group of 100 plus kids, are you telling me that everybody's going to respond the same way to the same personality?
Right. Every leader can reach a kid in a way that I can't.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting, so Donald Wade of Vista Marietta, for those who don't know, they are as good a program as anywhere in the country. They're just ridiculous. But it was interesting. I was doing a workshop for him last May, and I've worked with him for 20 years.
Okay.
And I was in with his leaders, and he was in the room. We talked about bakers versus chefs. You know
Okay.
what the difference between baking and cooking is?
I mean, I would like to think I do. Yes.
What is it?
Oh,
I'm gonna
baking
put you on the
versus
spot.
chefs. Oh, I don't know. To me, I see a chef as developing a more, I don't know, savory dish versus a baker who's just, I guess maybe I don't. Maybe I
So,
can't articulate it.
It's baking is a chemical reaction. There's no interpretive activity.
Oh, I see.
If you put too much baking powder in, it doesn't taste better or worse. It doesn't rise. If you use baking soda, if you put it at 400 versus 350, and you do it for 18 minutes instead of 15, it burns.
I see.
It is a chemical reaction. And so the way I like to think about leadership is there are bakers, people who like structure, systems, protocols, repetition in place.
Okay.
There are leaders like that.
Gotcha.
And then there are people who like to just wing it and read the moment and read the room and make it
See
up.
how things fit together. That's a chef.
So I was sitting with in Donald Wade's group and I said, okay, in this room, how many of you are bakers? How many of you are chefs? And I go, how many of you are bakers? And he had like 32 leaders. 2 hands went up.
Oh,
And I said, how many of you are chefs? And every hand went up. Donald Wade lost his mind.
Uh-oh.
He was like, what? This is insane. And I had never thought about it this way. He goes, how? I go, what are you, Donald? He goes, oh, I'm a chef. I like my systems. I like my order. I like my routine. We warm up this way. We walk this way. We talk this way. And I go, oh, that's why they're all chefs. Too many bakers is a problem.
gotcha.
I said they balance you. And since then, with every group I've worked with, what I've discovered is that the leaders are predominantly the opposite skill set of the director. So you think about me, I like to say I'm fire. If I have an entire leadership team of fire, that's a whole lot of intensity.
Gotcha.
I need ice to balance the fire.
Yeah.
And
that
so
makes sense.
I don't know if it's by choice or by accident or by fate of the gods, but I think what serves an organization best, and in the higher performing groups I work with, the leaders are not clones of the director; they're the opposite.
Okay. I could see that. Maybe somewhere in the middle too, right? Because sometimes maybe you need some kids to play both.
For sure.
Right,
It's
right,
not 100% complete, but I'm just saying.
Right.
And I take baker and chef out of it. I put fire and ice. I'm fire. I can't have 18 more kids that are fire.
Yeah.
That's why the drum major thing was I have a fear leader and I have a cheerleader.
Right.
They have to balance one another.
Gotcha.
And so when you look at it, maybe the reason your kid wasn't chosen was they were too good. But putting fire with fire and a fire band director, if you have maybe it was a combination and maybe it wasn't your kid. It wasn't anything that they did. It was they needed a balance point for the director.
Okay.
If you say, let's say, I'm super well organized, I'm tech savvy, I'm not going to choose a leadership position who's super well organized and tech savvy. I got that.
Right.
I'm going to choose a leader who covers my blind spot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Who's going to read the room and read the kids in a way that I'm not seeing because I'm thinking rehearse.
Yep.
And he's thinking, kids are getting tired, Mr. Lyon, give them a water break. And I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of forgot about that. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, my drum major was totally empowered to call water breaks at his discretion.
Okay.
Because I would forget, and I knew I would.
Gotcha.
So he had that role.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. Does any of that resonate with corporate America?
Well, so again, I would tell you it probably depends on the company, to be honest. Depending on there's a lot of companies that are very, very structured. And I think the more you move up the ladder in the Fortune 500, et cetera, I think the more red tape you find. So I think it gets harder and harder to be able to apply some of those things to, I will tell you that I feel like very often they want a very specific type of person that displays a very specific personality. And there's not, but it depends on the company, right?
But here's the thing. I think most band directors, and I think most companies get this right, and I think most bands get it wrong. I think most companies prioritize selecting the right person and worry about training secondary. And my experience is most bands worry about selecting secondary and then worry about training primary.
Okay.
And because the bottom line is, I'll use your example, your daughter as an example. She could get no training. She'd be okay.
Yeah.
She's just a great kid.
Right.
And she wants to work hard and do the right thing.
Yeah.
You could give her 0 training. She'd be a great leader. She doesn't need training because you selected the right person to begin with.
Gotcha.
But I see organizations where they're like, well, yeah. I mean, we have a piece of paper and the kids fill it out and then we select our leaders. But man, then we take them to a leadership retreat for a week. And I'm like, you don't need the retreat if you select them correctly. it's the selection process to me is 90% of the game.
Okay.
And I think corporate America does that well. We vet you and we read resumes and we send you through monster.com and we cull through 58 people and then we bring in 12. They invest really heavily in the selection process.
They do, but I'll tell you the flaw is there's too many hands in the pot.
Well, yeah,
That's the flaw. The flaw is, so to your point, there may be a very well-defined process, but the problem is so much of that process happens with somebody who's not even related to the actual job that's going to be done by the time that person gets hired. There's too many people involved in that process. So at least the ownership of the band director. So, but some of what you just said is, again, the way I would apply myself as a leader was not necessarily to just give attention to people that wanted to be leaders themselves. I tried to really empower my entire team that way. The entire team of people that worked for me were always trying to get some additional opportunity or knowledge or foundation of something that was bigger than themselves,
but
whether
you
they
see
were
that
asking
in
for it
band
or
kids,
not.
though, don't you?
100%. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So even outside of the selection process of somebody going for a position, I'm just talking about this was my day to day, right? And I think that's what good leaders do. A good band director, to your point, sets that foundation throughout the entire process versus just once we get to this decision.
This always, I think, is the ultimate irony. You know what you never have to do in order to get a job teaching?
No.
Teach.
Oh, yeah.
You go through an interview, but they never say,
isn't there student teaching?
Go. Yeah, but there's to get a job. So there's 10 of us applying for a job to be director of bands at Smith High School.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think you'd cull it down to 3 people and say, we're going to bring you each in for 1 hour and you're going to teach?
Oh, I can see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
And that does happen, not very regularly.
Gotcha.
So the throughput does not match the output. The output is we want a really great band director.
Yeah.
What we're not going to do is watch you be a band director.
Gotcha.
We're going to see how you dress.
Gotcha.
And we're going to read a piece of paper that you hand us. We're going to choose you based on your clothes, how well you talk, and the paper you hand us. Then you're going to not wear those clothes. You're not going to hand out that paper, and you're not going to talk.
Yeah, I see where you're going.
The throughput doesn't match the output.
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So I don't know. It is leadership season, and I think it's among the best parts of band.
Okay.
Is the way it enriches kids' experiences, but the way it connects kids to kids and gives them life skills that no other activity can do in a way that no other activity does. But I think the shortcoming that I see out there is the throughput doesn't match the output.
Okay. And again, I know you mentioned how a parent can support a kid through the decision process, but outside of that decision process, what should parents be doing in terms of support of their student who might be interested in being a leader? I
think the best thing to do is just encourage them.
Okay.
We asked Evan, we said, hey, leadership applications are out. Are you interested? No. Yeah, hard no.
Gotcha.
But we asked the question.
Yeah.
Hey, they're out.
Yeah.
You interested? Do you need help with the whatever component that is or doing X, Y, or Z? I think that's really the only thing you can do.
I gotcha.
And it's not that the thing is, it's not why he joined band.
Okay, that's totally fair. Absolutely.
You have to think, because I've thought about it. I don't care if he's a leader, but like some kids crave that opportunity, want that opportunity, seek that opportunity.
Yeah.
He just wants to be with his friends and play the drum.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Right.
Like
Gotcha.
if he's going to get a scaled down version of that by being, by the way, maybe the only returning bass drummer on the bass line.
Right.
Because they all graduated,
Yeah.
or 4 of the 6 or whatever. And the one that didn't graduate is probably going to move up to tenors or whatever it is.
Right.
He's going to get a mini leadership experience. He, by being a junior, is going to be in a visible role, and he's not drinking from the fire hose anymore. He's showing kids how to not get drinking from the fire,
Sure.
But he doesn't want that expanded role.
Gotcha.
And that's okay.
So what about for kids that are maybe somewhere in the middle, right? So kids that are maybe on the fence a little bit. I'm a firm believer of someone that even having the experience of going through the process, selected or not, builds character one way or the other.
100%.
So
and that application process I described is hard. It will build
absolutely.
character.
Right. So I think if you have a kid who's on the fence, continue to encourage them to go through the process, but maybe as a parent, find creative ways to I guess, solidify that confidence in them that maybe they don't see. Maybe it is something day to day that you see them taking initiative on around your household, or something that you can say, I know that you're not sure of yourself, but I can tell you that these are some of the things I see just in your day to day around here that I think apply to some of the things that would help you in leadership as well. So again, as a parent,
well, here's the other thing I would tell you is, and you don't know this, and no reason why you wouldn't know. There was an opening at it's not a Fortune 500 company, it's a CEO, but it was pretty close to it. And I had someone reach out to me and said, you should apply. And I laughed out loud. And this person said, read the job description, tell me if it's you.
Okay.
And I read it and I'm like, it kind of is. And I applied for it.
Okay.
And let me I want to say this to anyone who might be listening. I knew there was no way in hell I was getting that job. Right. I knew going in, didn't care.
Yeah.
I'm like, how often do you get a chance to apply to a Fortune 500 company?
That's fair.
And get your materials vetted and get a screening interview and get possibly a first real interview. I'm like, so I would tell my kid, apply.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah.
Come up with the craziest application you can come up with. See where it takes you. I mean, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So if someone was on the fence, I'd tell them, what do you got to lose?
Yeah.
And dip your toe in the water. See what happens.
One of the places I can say that we can nod back to ourselves as a resource is, again, if you go back to the launching of season 2, July last year, in those Bandcamp episodes, I sat down with a group of leadership from our band, and we talked through a lot of those things. And you get to hear in the kids' words what's different about their experience, how they even see themselves. Because I kind of asked them, I said, look at yourself compared to your peers. What do you see differently in your traits versus some of your peers and things like that? So if anybody's kind of maybe interested, this is just a way that, again, as a resource to if you want to hear in kids' words, go back to the intro to Bandcamp episodes from the beginning of season 2.
And I'll bet, Chris, if I asked you to describe the characteristics, and I mean this sincerely, if I would ask you to describe the characteristics of a penultimate leader, a leader that you would want to follow and be a part of, or leaders that inspired you, I would bet you dollars to donuts if you went back to that Bandcamp episode, you've got 16-year-old kids using and doing the same. I would want my leader to be nurturing. Well, I bet if you go back to the Bandcamp episode, you'd find kids who are nurturing. I want my leaders to be role models. I bet if you went back to the Bandcamp episode, you'd find role models.
Absolutely.
It's teaching those characteristics in real time to teenagers.
Right.
So you and I both know there are kids in our kids' band that are better leaders than people in corporate America today.
Yeah, it's probably true.
There are better leaders in our kids' band than are sitting in elected officials at last night's State of the Union.
There's no question about that.
I mean, if you ask me, would you trust your life to insert name of our kids' band program leader? I'll tell you what, my kids, the bass drum section there, Hazel, I'd choose her over anyone in Congress right now. I'm just telling you right now.
There you go.
Because Hazel showed me for the last 2 years that she cares about people. She's responsible for people. She wants them to be successful, and she'll do whatever it takes to make sure someone feels included.
I understand.
I'm in. Hazel for president.
I understand. Yeah. She probably doesn't want it. She's probably smart enough to know better than
do it either.
She's probably better than that.
I'd vote for it.
But no, but you raise a good point.
So when you think about this, parents, as we approach leadership season, is that number one, what makes it unique about leadership that keeps kids coming back for 4 years? Second of all, what makes it different than any other school activity? Third of all, it might be worth passing this along to your band director, if your band director listening, saying, does my throughput match my desired output?
Yeah.
And then, last but not least, is thinking about this leadership team as a puzzle. It's a culture. And how do we fit the different pieces together to create the best leadership team? Because in the end, that's what you're creating. It's a leadership team. It's not individual leaders. It's a cohesive leadership team, because that's how you build a culture.
So knowing all of that, and knowing how stacked a band director's schedule is with things all of the time and trying to set up all these things for success, some of that sounds like it could be fairly time consuming, getting all that stuff set up and kind of working through that process. Might there be any tools that a band... He didn't know I was going to do this to him.
No, I didn't. I didn't know.
Is there any tools that you could think of that might help a band director with that process that maybe the band director isn't aware of, but maybe parents could nudge and say, hey, I heard about this cool tool?
You could. And so what Chris is alluding to, and I didn't know he was going to do this.
legitimately did not know.
But literally about 30 minutes ago or 3 hours ago, I finished creating an online version of this application, and it does everything. And the director does nothing. It's all built for them. They can choose questions, unchoose questions. They can follow students in real time as they get trained. It's 5 pre-unit training units, then a personality test, then the application I just described. It's all electronic. And then there's 10 additional training units once a student is selected, and the director can manage and edit it all in real time via dashboard. And I believe the URL is musicleadership.com. Musicleadership.com. If not, you can go to scottlang.net. It's on my website. It says leadership app. That is going to go live Friday morning, 2 days from now. But by the time this airs, that will be out. And the beauty of it, Chris, I really thought about this because the application's been out for years and hundreds of schools use it, but it was never editable.
Gotcha.
And it was never, well, I like Scott. And what I came across time and time again was, I love your application, but I added this question. I love your application, but the dazzle me was a little too much for my personality.
Absolutely. You got to be able to customize it.
So when I built the app, one of the key features, the first thing was make it easy, manageable, and bring it to the 21st century so students can do it at home and wherever they're else.
Right.
But the second thing was make it editable. So if your output's different than my output, then you can change the throughput. So
yeah, makes sense.
all of this is online, and it's free to directors. The student app is a nominal cost, but it's all to pay for the development and the hosting software cost. So, but go to musicleadership.com or go to scottlang.net if that URL fails through, because I bought it today. And it hasn't linked yet. And go to the top of my navigation, look for leadership app, and you can see it there. But it's pretty amazing.
If you had to guess, let's say I sat down and I took your personality test as a leader applying for this, what would you guess my result was?
You're what you should be. It'd be one of three. It'd be one of three things. The obvious choice is social media coordinator.
No. Sorry. Does the personality test not have defined like results?
It does. It gives you a role.
I did it. That's why I'm asking you. I want to see if you can guess.
Did?
Yes. Sorry. Maybe I misphrased the question. I want to see if you can guess what I got as a result when I took your little test.
I didn't get your answers to the questions. So how would I know?
Just knowing.
Let me tell you why I would slot you. You want me to tell you why I'd slot you?
Sure.
You'd be my drum major.
Okay.
Because you're organized and you don't ride the emotional roller coaster. You're even keeled and you lock it and you dial in, you set the standard, and you don't switch it for anyone else around.
Gotcha.
You know your true north, and that's where Chris's Flynn is going. Okay. You would be my drum major.
Okay.
Your skill sets would lend you extraordinarily well to be the social media coordinator.
Gotcha.
If I didn't slot you there.
Right.
And then based on the fact you're not like a huge musicophile, I would probably create, because if you notice, you can create a title on that dashboard.
Okay.
I would create a title. It'd either be the vice president would be band manager, and I would just put you in charge of all operations.
Got it.
Schedules, calendars, purchase orders. Like, it doesn't mean you do them. It means you literally are the COO, Chief Operating Officer.
Okay.
That's where I would slot you.
Listen, I appreciate your faith in me because I know you saw me conduct at that holiday concert, and to think that I could be a drum major is very flattering.
I don't choose drum majors based on conducting abilities.
I'm just kidding.
I know, but there's an example of the throughput has to match the output. Yeah. I don't expect my drum majors to be great conductors. I expect them to be kick-ass rehearsers.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
What did you score?
I don't remember, actually. That's funny. I didn't put you on the spot. I don't even remember. It was something about conducting alongside of people. I forget what the actual title was.
Oh, you were a mentor teacher.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that wasn't a title I used. I just tried to come up with every conceivable thing a band choir orchestra would use and put it in there. But because folks, you can toggle all the positions on and off for kids to see.
Right. And I went into like a test version. So yeah. No, I get it. No, but I will say, even because I messed with it, or Scott asked me to kind of mess with it. So I messed with it from both sides, and I was curious. So I went through that process, but it was nice for me to see. It's funny because I did it as like a joke, like, oh, let me see if I could just play with Scott's software and break it or whatever. But actually I ended I got through the questions going, this is pretty insightful. I feel like I'm actually answering questions honestly as myself instead of just playing with this little tool. So I thought it was
so
cool.
as a director, I could see your answers in real time
Right.
as you type them.
Right.
And I can actually hit feedback and I can write back to you and say, Chris, that was a really brilliant answer. Come see me about implementing this idea in the band. And it would show up on your student dashboard.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It is pretty slick.
Awesome. Sweet. Check it out.
Folks, leadership matters, not just in band, but leadership matters in life. And I think, honest to goodness, it may be one of the most important aspects of the whole band experience. So as you get ready for leadership season, support your kid in wanting to be a part of it, and then talk to my kid. And then be understanding, accepting that wherever they land, if they're given an opportunity to serve, that is true leadership.
And if you have any questions, then you can talk to us. Send us your questions. Send us an email, feedback@banddadspodcast.com. Send us your questions. Send us your curiosities, or maybe if there is something, again, that you would like to advise that you felt worked well in a particular situation for you previously, share your thoughts, share your ideas. We'd absolutely love to hear from you.
And Chris will put the link to whatever the URL ends up being in the
It'll
show
be
notes.
in the show notes.
And just never forget, I'm Scott Lang.
Chris Flynn.
And we're the
Band Dads. Thanks, folks. For those that are interested in leadership, if you're applying, good luck. We believe in you.
Hazel for president.
We believe in you. Thanks, all. We'll see you next time.
Band Dads on 3. 1, 2, 3, Band Dads!
The Band Dads are a proud partner of Booster Hub. Simplify your Booster Club's management with Booster Hub's all-in-one tools. Find out more and get your free trial started by visiting boosterhub.com. The Band Dads podcast is a 5 Deuce Media production. For more information, please visit 5deucemedia.com. For more information on Scott Lang leadership and solutions for music education, please visit scottlang.net.